Hello everyone, my name is Sergio Contreras and today I'm gonna present and talk about what is the global impact of COVID-19. First of all, what type of virus is COVID-19? COVID-19 is the infectious disease caused by the recently discovered coronavirus. This virus and disease were unknown before the outbreak began in Wuhan, China in December of 2019. COVID 19 is now a pandemic affecting many countries globally. Also, COVID 19 is part of the coronavirus family, which are a large family of viruses which may cause illness in animals or humans. In humans, several coronaviruses are known to cause respiratory infections ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases such as MERS and SARS. How is the coronavirus spread? People can catch corona 19 uh, from others who have the virus. The disease spreads primarily from person to person through small droplets from their nose or mouth, which are expelled when a person with COVID 19 coughs, sneezes, or speaks. These droplets are relatively heavy, do not travel far, and quickly sink to the ground. People can catch COVID 19 if they breathe in these droplets from a person infected with the virus. This is why it's important to stay at least 1 meter away from others. These droplets can land on objects and surfaces around the person, such as tables, doorknobs, and handrails. People can become infected by touching these objects or surfaces when touching their eyes or nose or mouth. This is why it's important to wash your hands regularly with soap and water or clean with alcohol-based hand rub. What does the virus entail or symptoms? The most common symptoms of COVID 19 are fever, dry cough, tiredness. Some patients may have aches and pains, nasal congestion, sore throat, or diarrhea. These symptoms are usually mild and begin gradually. Some people become infected but only have very mild symptoms. Most people, about 80%, recover from the disease without needing hospital treatment. Around 1 out of every 5 people who get COVID 19 become seriously ill and develop difficulty breathing. Older people and those with underlying medical problems like high blood pressure, heart and lung disease, diabetes, or cancer are at a higher risk of developing serious illness. However, everyone can catch COVID 19 and become seriously ill. Even people with mild symptoms of COVID 19 can transmit the virus. People of all ages who experience fever, cough, and difficulty breathing should seek medical attention. Now, if you will want to know how to get a vaccine for this COVID 19, there's different type of stages. And today, well, I'm gonna start talking about the development of vaccines. The first stage is the exploratory stage. This stage involves basic laboratory research and often lasts 2 to 4 years. Federally funded academic and governmental scientists identify natural or synthetic antigens that might help prevent or treat a disease. These antigens could include virus like particles, weakened bacterial toxins, or other substances derived from the pathogens. Then we have the preclinical stage. The preclinical studies are tissue culture or cell culture systems and animal testing to assume the safety of the candidate vaccines and its immunogenicity or ability to provoke an immune response. Animal subjects may include mice and monkeys. These studies give researchers an idea of the cellular response they might expect in humans. They may also suggest a safe starting dose for the next phase of research as well as the safe method of administering the vaccine. Researchers may adapt the candidate vaccine during the preclinical state to try to make it more effective. They may also do challenge studies with the animals, meaning that they vaccinate the animals and try to infect them with the target pathogen. Many candidate vaccines never progress beyond this stage because they fail to produce the desired immune response. The preclinical stages often last 1 to 2 years and usually involves researchers in private industry. Then we have the IDN application. A sponsor, usually a private company, submits an application for the investigation, the IDN, yeah, to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. The sponsor describes the manufacturing and testing process, summarizes the laboratory reports, and describes the proposed study. An institutional review board representing an institution where the clinical trials will be conducted must approve the clinical protocol. The FDA has 30 days to approve the application. Once the IND application has been approved, the vaccine is subject to the three phases of testing. Phase 1, which is vaccine trials. These are the first attempts to assess the candidate vaccine in humans, involves a small group of adults, usually between 20 to 80 subjects. If the vaccine is intended for children, researchers will first test adults and then gradually step down the age of the test subjects until they reach the target. Phase 1 trials may be non-blinded, also known as open label if the researchers and all that type of stuff. The goals of phase 1 testing are to assess the safety of the candidate vaccine and to determine the type and extent of immune response that the vaccine provokes. In a small minority of phase 1 vaccine trials, researchers may use the challenge model, attempting to infect participants with a pathogen after the experimental group has been vaccinated. The participants in these studies are carefully monitored and conditions are carefully controlled. In some cases, an attenuated or modified version of the pathogen is used for the challenge. A promising phase 1 trial will progress to the next stage. Phase 2 vaccine trials. Sorry. A larger group of several hundred individuals participate in phase 2 testing. Some of the individuals may belong to groups at risk of acquiring the disease. These trials are randomized and well controlled and include a placebo group. The goals of phase 2 testing are to study the candidate vaccine safety and immunogenicity, proposed doses, schedule of immunization, and method of delivery. Then with phase 3 vaccine trials. Successful phase 2 candidate vaccines move on to larger trials, involving thousands to 10,000s of people. These phase 3 tests are randomized and double blind and involve the experimental vaccines being tested against a placebo. One phase 3 goal is to assess vaccine safety in a large group of people. Certain rare side effects might not surface in the smaller groups of subjects tested in earlier phases. For example, suppose that an adverse event related to a candidate vaccine might occur in one of every 10,000 people. To detect a significant difference for a low frequency event, the trial should have to include 60,000 subjects, half of them in the control or no vaccine group. Approval and licensure. After a successful phase 3 trial, the vaccine developer will submit a biologistics license application, also known as a BLA, to the FDA. When the FDA will suspect the factory where the vaccine will be made and approve the labeling of the vaccine. This vaccine, yeah. After licensure, the FDA will continue to monitor the production of the vaccine, including inspecting facilities and reviewing the manufacturer's tests of lots of vaccines for potency, safety, and purity. The FDA has the right to conduct its own testing of manufacturers' vaccines. Then we have the post licensure monitoring of vaccines. A variety of system monitoring vaccines after they have been approved. This includes phase 4 trials, the vaccine adverse event reporting system, and the vaccine safety data link. Phase 4 trials are optional studies that drug companies may conduct after a vaccine is released. These manufacturers may continue to test the vaccine for safety, efficacy, and other potential uses. Virus. The CDC and FDA established the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System in 1990. The goal of BARS, according to the CDC, is to detect possible signals of adverse events associated with the vaccine. About 30,000 events are reported each year to VAERS. Between 10% and 15% of these reports describe serious medical events that result in hospitalization, life threatening illness, disability, or death. VAERS is a voluntary reporting system. Anyone, such as a parent, a healthcare provider, or a friend of a patient who suspects an association between a vaccination and an adverse event, may report that event and information about it to VAERS. The CDC then investigates the event and tries to find out whether the adverse event was in fact caused by the vaccination. The CDC states that they monitor VAERS data to detect new, unusual, or rare vaccines adverse events, monitor increase in known adverse events, identify potential patient risk factors for particular types of adverse events, identify vaccine lots with increased numbers of or types of reported adverse events, access the safety and newly licensed vaccines. Not all adverse events reports to BARS are in fact caused by a vaccination. The two occurrences may be related in time only, and it's probable that not all adverse events resulting from vaccination are reported to BARS. The CDC states that many adverse events, such as swelling at the injection site, are underreported. Serious adverse events, according to the CDC, are probably more likely to be reported than minor ones, especially when they occur after vaccination, even if they may be coincidental and related to other causes. BARS has successfully identified several rare adversities events related to vaccination. Among them are an intestinal problem after that first vaccine to retrovirus and all this type of stuff. Then we have the vaccine safety data link. Um, the VSD is a collection of linked databases containing information from large medical groups. The linked database allow officials to gather data about vaccination among the populations served by the medical groups. Researchers can access the data by proposing studies to the CDC and having them approved. The BSD has some drawbacks. For example, few completely unvaccinated children are listed in the database and all this type of stuff. Yeah. Now let's talk about some implications of the impact of COVID 19, but this is gonna be the positive ones. Implication number one: wildlife is getting back to their habitat. This is a environmental factor, and thanks to the impact that COVID 19 has produced on major countries, a lot of their wildlife has come back to their habitat. A big example of this is Venice, which has reported sightings of dolphins near the Venice canals. Also, another positive implication of the COVID 19 is that everyone are now being more cautious of their own and others' health and safety. This is a cultural factor, and in this COVID 19 outbreak throughout the world, a lot of countries are trying to stop the spread of the virus. The way to stop the spread of the virus is by washing your hands and rubbing your hands with alcohol. This policy has been adopted by a lot of countries, which is the reason some countries have a decrease of confirmed cases. Also, with this policy, various other diseases have decreased thanks to our hygiene. If we keep this up, we will be a more healthy world in the future. Then we have here the negative implications of the impact of COVID 19. The COVID 19 is ruining the US economy. This economical is an economical factor. As the COVID 19 outbreak, various multinational companies have had to be closed as to avoid the spread of the virus. This in return has damaged the stock market by making investors pull out loads of money from the market, which is affecting the whole world, especially the US. Then, Implication number two is everyone is now hoarding over absurd necessities as toilet paper or other um, absurd necessities. This is a cultural factor. Due to the COVID 19, many people in the early stages of the outbreak went out of their day to hoard a lot of toilet paper. They weren't just buying toilet paper for the month, instead, they were paying toilet paper for like a year. This harmful mentality, as you are buying a lot of materials you will not need or will need, but not to that extent. Now here's some suggestions of action. Suggestion number one: inform the public the real facts about the outbreak. Some strengths about this is that it will give accurate information of the outbreak and might decrease the number of people panicking and going out their homes to buy materials they don't need or are needed elsewhere. Um, a weaknesses a weakness about this is almost to none, except that people might be scared of the reality and would just deny it. Then suggestion number two is take down fake news articles of this topic. Um, a strength of this it is that it will improve the critical thinking of the populace so they don't get tricked by the constant issue of fake news throughout the media. A weakness is that almost to none, except that some people might be scared of the reality and just also deny it. Evaluate the information given. The central issue is what is the global impact of COVID 19? As we discussed before, we have seen positive impacts and negative impacts thanks to this situation. On the positive side, we have records that the animals are returned to their natural habitat as seen by the dolphins coming back to Benny's article. But on the negative side, we have seen that the global economy is being damaged by this outbreak as shown in the economic downfall that the US experiencing, which was a Guardian article. How can we change this situation for the better for all of us? A suggestion I thought was to inform the public the real facts about the outbreak and take down fake news articles on this topic. In my opinion, if we took these actions, then in future outbreaks, we're going to be more prepared and are going to be less likely to panic as many people have done in this situation by hoarding toilet paper, going outside for no reason, injecting alcohol or disinfectants to their body. And this is my bibliography. Thanks all for listening and have a great day. Also, take care.